It's quite rather preposterously hard to wholeheartedly accept, especially in today's time of ultimate sensitivity and emotionalism, that the credibility and relevancy of the male life is utterly dependent on his ability to perform with merit. The male burden of performance always correlates perfectly with our innate instinct to want to have a function or purpose, or multiple functions or purposes. The masculine world is a world of action, adventure, and conquests, a world of problem solving, constructionism, invention, and discovery, and with that comes both a tremendous collection of risks and expectations that are attached along with it. We've already talked about and discussed the often disregarded and overlooked risks that comes from taking on colossal and monumental conquests many times before on this channel. Now, it's time we discuss about the often overly idealistic and escalated expectations that comes from those conquests. We all know in today's world of constant stimulation on social media and everyone's unrealistic attempt to portray the perfect and flawless life has resulted in the creation and implementation of a new norm of perception in terms of life quality, where anything under the accepted standard of mass attention and compliments is considered redundant, irrelevant, or even utterly worthless, thus also creating a mass global pandemic of constant social insecurities and comparisons among everyone with a cell phone in their hand. And the worst part is, we can't do anything about these expectations. If anything, they will get progressively more idealistic and unrealistic, since human beings will never ever be satisfied. For us men, it naturally instills a tremendous amount of pressure on us, as we are the ones that are more expected to perform with merit to eventually meet those standards, or at least hover around the tolerable limit of those standards. And yes, I'm not only talking about how we look, but also our financial position, accolades or achievements, material possessions, and popularity or social connection. Otherwise, we are slowly going to be sidelined and receive less opportunities for even more financial prosperity, resource accumulation, productive collaboration, and mate selection. Basically, the less we are able to perform and meet the new standards of living, the less we will have the opportunity to survive in this world and pass our genes to the next generation. Now, for a lot of you, this might sound utterly ridiculous or unacceptable, but I know that you also feel the same immense pressure and anxiety to perform, even though you may not actually viscerally acknowledge it. Because secretly, you also desire roughly the same things in life as any other men. The six-pack abs, the nice car, the big house, the beautiful women. You are only desperately attempting to cope against the realization of the mountains you need to climb through attempting to go completely your own way. We are expected to perform, and we must perform, as it is our job to adapt to our environment so that circumstances can favor us whether you like it or not, especially in this current hyper-competitive world. Most of us men today may be surprised or gobsmacked about this issue, since the gynocentric society has softened us all into shallowly irritable dependence. But actually, the male life has always been like this since the dawn of time. Perform and be respected and rewarded, or yield and be exiled and forgotten. I've always said it before that your value as a man in the eyes of the world depends on what you have accumulated, possessed, and contribute through the works that you have committed to throughout your life. Whether it is a great physique, millions in the bank, being able to speak 5 languages, or even building a huge loyal community. This is the ruthless game that you are playing, gentlemen. Afraid, shocked, stressed, anxious, angry, bitter, hateful, desperate, clueless, helpless. No one fucking cares. The high pressure and demand that the world bestows upon you will always be there, whether you like it or not. I'd say by this point some of you could be mentally rattled, as most normally would after hearing all those rough bells and whistles. Some of you probably already start visualizing the worst that could happen, endlessly and anxiously contemplating what the future would look like for you, probably already measuring the time you've wasted fooling around in your 20s, and some of you may already one step away from breaking or giving up completely as you feel everything is already too late. I completely understand the high amount of stress and pressure you're feeling, the sleepless nights, the gloomy mornings, and the sore demeanor that you've experienced due to agitatedly worrying about the future, on whether you would make it or not, and enviously seeing some of your friends doing really well in life. I understand that. I also went through all of them. That stress is your survival instinct kicking in and constantly attempting to find the solution to your problems. When our brain perceives threats in our social environment to our status or autonomy, it reacts in the same exact way it does to physical threats. However, despite everything I've just said, not everything is bleak news for us all. One of the good news is that as gentlemen, we always mature far later in life than women. Performing and accumulating meritable values takes a much longer time and requires going through much longer and bumpier roads. The other thing you need to know is that you cannot completely control what will happen. Also, obsessing or worrying about the future and other people's lives does nothing for you but drain you from the much needed time and energy required to improve your own. Eventually, you'll fatigue yourselves off of the worries and start to care less of the things you can't control. No matter how bleak or prosperous you want to visualize the future to be, both gifts and shits will be thrown at you as you go through life, and they can always either delight or interfere with your life further. Most of the time, and I mean 99% of the time, your high expectations will not be met exactly the way you thought or visualized them to be. So don't overly obsess over it because you'll be immensely disappointed. Be grounded and realistic with your own expectations. The only thing, and I mean the only thing that you can do is to do your absolute and complete best in the present moment. Day in and day out, fulfill your commitments, duties, and responsibilities. Capitalize on every opportunity presented before you, decide wisely, and most importantly, take action immediately. Whatever the results would be in the future, good or bad, remain ruthless and keep improving. Whether you choose to embrace the pressure and demand from life or completely ignore them, it's absolutely your free will to choose and implement what works best for you. Similarly, whatever and however life that you want, you decide how important you want it to be. I have absolutely no say in that. The most crucial thing to consider out of all of this is not to regret what you didn't do for your own sake. Thank you for watching.